As I sit here in my pants and dressing gown reading words I scratched down at 3 AM this morning, I can tell you one thing. Doing voiceovers is really fun. There's a real joy I get from assaulting you with my mush-mouthed tones and annoying you with my personal opinions, but others for some reason really don't seem to give it their all when faced with a script. I'm speaking of course of celebrity voiceovers, that rare breed of human that lives on caviar, cocaine and churlish spending. Sometimes they can be outstanding. Just look at the fine work that Samuel L. Jackson did in San Andreas or Martin Sheen in Mass Effect for examples where shelling out the bucks for a well-respected actor is worth every penny. But for those on this list, it's less a good investment and more like setting your money on fire. With this in mind, I'm Jules the Southwest Savage for WhatCulture.com here with a list of the 10 worst celebrity video game performances. Number 10. Matthew Perry, Fallout New Vegas. This should have been a match made in heaven, a sleazy, wisecracking hood being played by the ever-talented Matthew Perry in a post-apocalyptic wasteland where you can beat people to death with a flaming sword. But this performance was less a fireball of phonetics and more like a lazy, sleepwalking affair which will make you wonder whether he's huffing jet again. It's almost bizarre to hear how badly he hits keywords like baby again and again, and you end up wishing he put that bullet in the right place in the opening section.
Let's keep this in the groove, hey? Smooth moves, smooth.
Number 9. 50 Cent, Blood on the Sand. To say that 50 Cent has a somewhat limiting acting range is like saying that breaking all your bones in a collision with a truck is somewhat painful.
That bitch has got my skull, and I want it back. I need weapons.
His monotone delivery is stamped all over his ego project Blood on the Sand, which sees the rapper attempt to get back a diamond-encrusted skull for reasons known only to him. The gameplay is passable and in places explosive, silly fun, but it's grounded by the emotionless delivery of Curtis and his dry as sandpaper pants delivery. Number 8. David Spade, The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning. I really dislike David Spade. I don't know if it's his please punch me face or the fact that there's not been a live action film of his that I've seen which I've actually enjoyed. But his biggest sin of all is his performance as Sparks the Dragonfly in The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning. And the worst thing is that I know he can do better than this apathetic performance, as he did a really good job in The Emperor's New Groove. What we get here is a delivery which sounds like he's just awakening from a 4-year coma. And after he's bored your ear with his incessant blathering, you'll end up wishing we'd pulled the plug.
Let me out of here and fight me like a thing, whatever you are. You pathetic wretch.
Number 7. Bruce Willis, Apocalypse. Back in 1998, it was a huge novelty to have a star like Bruce Willis starring in a game. Originally, Bruce was supposed to be a sidekick character the player fought alongside, but at the last minute the devs thought to switch the focus to my hairline twin himself. This led to his dialogue being awkwardly recut to suggest that he was the focus of the plot, but Willis's lackluster delivery did little to endear players to his character.
Oh, you want some too? Oh, that's got it. Suck on this. These guys need a little bit more lead in their diet.
During gameplay, he just blurts out the occasional silly one-liner, but his heart just clearly isn't in it, and it just adds to the mediocrity of what was at best an average game. Number 6. Mina Suvari, Kingdom Hearts 2. I was A-okay without ever hearing Aerith speak. And that's not a crack about women being silent or anything. I was just fine with the idea of imagining what she sounded like in Final Fantasy VII rather than actually hearing it. Now, Kingdom Hearts 1, which gave the human kebab a voice, wasn't terrible, with Mandy Moore doing a passable job, but it was Mina Suvari's butchering in Kingdom Hearts 2 which was like a blow to the head. Or to be more specific, it was like a series of slow, monotonal blows to the head with pauses every other hit. Because that's how she thought that the First Lady of Final Fantasy should sound.
You mean you don't want me there when you go away again?
Needless to say, I played the game on mute. Number 5. David Duchovny, 13. David Duchovny's laid-back acting style doesn't really translate well to voiceover work, where he just sounds either bored or stoned.
Well then, who am I?
His work in Area 51 could double as a cure for insomnia, but 13 is the gold standard when it comes to Duchovny just not bothering.
I've fallen into my own trap.
His performance as the title character in this enjoyable and colourful romp has the passion of an IKEA furniture manual, and while he maintains the same energy throughout, it's the same level of energy as your mum's personal massager after a Burt Reynolds movie marathon. Very, very low. Number 4. Christopher Walken, True Crime: Streets of LA. Anything that Walken touches should instantly turn to gold. The man is to acting as I am to sexual prowess, an unstoppable wall of talent. That being said, True Crime: Streets of LA was just a bit shit, and it was in no way helped by the terrible script he was asked to voice. Playing George, an aging cop bound to a desk, his natural cadence was hampered by the broken English dialogue, and it made his performance feel less like an acting tour de force and more like a whip round Tesco's.
Now, that wasn't too hard, was it?
Number 3. Michael Biehn, Dwayne Hicks. It's rare that you get a game that doesn't have a single thing going for it, and Gearbox's Aliens Colonial Marines is a disaster piece made real. A game with fantastic potential about a group of Marines discovering the fate of Hadley's Hope, it absolutely bombed on release. There were many reasons why. Bad AI, terrible graphics, and gameplay that was completely out of touch with the movie it was tied to. And to add to this steaming mess was a terrible performance by Michael Biehn for the returning Dwayne Hicks. His audio is a vacuum of energy and joy, being akin to listening to paint dry. And while his involvement is the least of this game's concerns, it was just another unneeded hole in the already hemorrhaging title.
Then you better hurry, sir. Last FTL leaves soon and it ain't coming back.
Number 2. Bill Murray, Ghostbusters the video game. For many years, Sony tried to convince Bill to make a third Ghostbusters movie, but he kept rejecting the scripts they sent. Things briefly looked up when he, alongside most of the original cast, did voiceover work for the 2009 game. He expressed how much fun he had stepping back into the role, which might come as a surprise to anyone who's actually heard his performance.
Think we're stuck? Think we're stuck? Think we're stuck? Ray, you guys good with officially stuck in the elevators? Show of hands.
His low-energy, mumbly work can be hard to hear at times, and the cynical, quick-wit Venkman possessed in the movies just isn't there. This is probably just as a result of him reading from a script instead of being allowed to improv, but it sounds like he recorded his lines with all the due care of Krusty the Clown. And number 1, Peter Dinklage, Destiny. It had to be this really, didn't it? I mean, the Dinklage Destiny debacle is now infamous for not only being flatter than a block of flats being drawn on a bit of paper and baked into a pancake, but also they re-recorded all of his lines! Now, the official line is that this was because Dinklage wasn't free to record lines for the DLC, but we all know it was because it was down to his awkward and lifeless delivery.
It worked. You're alive. You don't know how long I've been looking for you.
Nothing more can be said on this really, so let's all just be grateful that Nolan North, the god of voiceover second to me, gave this role a kick up the arse. And that's our list. Got any more dreary dialogues that got you down? Well, let us know about them in the comments section below. And if you want to hear something truly amazing, then you can follow me on Twitter at RetroJ0. If you enjoyed the video, then like, share, and subscribe for more. As always, I've been Jules for WhatCulture.com, and I'll speak to you soon.